Welcome back. As we were cutting away, we began to discuss the issues of firearms as it pertains to temporary restraining orders and protective orders. Once again, we're joined by Miss Sarah of the Iris Domestic Violence Center. She's the Legal Services Director. So, Sarah, let's say a victim does get an order of protection against an abuser. However, let's say that abuser owns guns, and from that standpoint, are there protections in place to try to help victims stay away from the gun owning or gun wielding abuser?
Yes, there are. If a protective order is issued, a permanent protective order, the abuser is not allowed to have possession of that firearm for the duration of the protective order. And they cannot buy a gun, they cannot actually possess ammunition according to the federal law. They're both state and federal laws that prohibit the possession of a firearm while a protective order is against you. So the abuser is not allowed to possess those firearms. Something we were talking about earlier was the homicide rate in East Baton Rouge Parish. And Louisiana actually ranks third in the nation for the highest rate of fatalities committed by women, or women being killed by men. And in 2017 alone, 73% of those murders were committed by a firearm. So it's very important that the law about the abuser not having possession of that firearm is actually followed.
Okay. And now when it comes to, I guess, cataloging, for lack of a better word, but when it comes to cataloging or keeping track of individuals who are, let's say, under the restrictions of a protective order, is there some type of central registry or something that is maintained that keeps track of, all right, this individual, let's say Jane Doe, is on a protective order? Is there something out there that's available?
So just this past session, the Louisiana legislature has passed and will now be implementing a program where those that have a protective order issued against them will have to tell the court which guns they have, and then will have to give up that possession to the sheriff's office of wherever they reside. And there are other states in the nation that do have those same types of laws, and I know that the average amount of homicides have gone down because of the program to take possession. I think it was a 14% decrease in the states that actually have the program where you can't possess a gun, but then they take possession of that gun. And so that will go into effect October 1st of this year.
Okay. Now, moving back into the legal arena, which is where you tangle. I believe we stated earlier that your office, and across various parishes, but on average does about 200 cases or receives about 200 cases. And with that, I believe these are usually set for some type of court hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And let's say on that court date, I believe here, since I was there, I believe here the court date for these are usually on the Wednesdays of the week?
Yes, every Wednesday is domestic violence court day in the Family Court of East Baton Rouge.
Okay. And so let's say Jane Doe files a protective order and gets it served against John Doe. What is the step once that court date comes? What should Jane Doe expect when she gets to the courtroom?
So we have actually what we call pre-court meetings for those people that filed that are seeking our services. Women can come, and we have a meeting at our office, which is in a confidential location, and we review their case with them. An attorney reviews their case with them and explains how the court process is going to happen, what time to be there on Wednesday, and also if they have evidence, police reports, pictures, or anything, to gather that together and make sure that you have it, witnesses. And that way we can prep their case beforehand, because on any given Wednesday, we could have up to, there's usually 2 divisions, we could have anywhere between 20 and 40 cases on that one day. So being able to talk to the people prior and screen their case with them helps us to be able to represent them more efficiently.
And I believe earlier when we were talking, you stated that sometimes when you do get to court, these things can be resolved without having to go to trial. In what ways can these things be resolved, I guess, to the benefit of the filer? How can they be resolved without actually going to trial?
So you must appear in court. Each jurisdiction is different because of our 7 parishes, but I will say that in East Baton Rouge, since we're specifically talking about that, you need to appear in court. If the defendant has been served and appears as well, then they might agree to stipulate to the protective order instead of actually having a trial. And that is beneficial to the victim, because a lot of times having to get on the stand and be questioned and to see the abuser again and face them is something that is very hard and re-victimizes them. So hopefully, for their sake, they will stipulate and without having a trial.
And let's say whether they stipulate or they go to trial or however it comes to being, but they get a protective order. I believe we stated that those can last from 12 months up to 18 months?
Right. Sometimes we've actually done them for 3 months or 6 months. If someone's getting divorced and, it's just we need these few months to stay away. But 18 months is the max. However, there are provisions that can be made permanent.
Yeah. Now, you just touched on something that I was going to ask you about, and you stated if the couples are going to get divorced. So with that, I guess my question is, do you see a lot of spousal situations wherein a wife files against a husband, or vice versa, the husband is filed against the wife?
Yes, I see that a lot of times. A lot of what we call in reconvention, and they both file against each other. And a lot of times abusers will do that because they are claiming that they're the victim. And that's just one of the power and control things. Okay.
So I'll tell you what, this is definitely a topic that we can discuss all day. There's a lot of nuances with it. I wanted to tackle it from the legal perspective, but as time winds down here, because we can't talk forever, unfortunately, I want to give the floor to you. If you have any tips that you would like to give our audience, or some type of information that maybe we didn't cover that you feel may be important, please, just about 30 seconds or so, give us some information.
Yeah, so if you or anyone else that you know is being abused or in an abusive relationship, please call and we can give you information on the different services we offer and how to handle the situation. It's our number is on the screen. It's 389-3001. We have a 24-hour crisis hotline, so you can call at any time. And to the public, again, if you know anyone who is in a relationship where domestic violence is taking place, to please not stay quiet, but to call the police if you hear something. Because I think if our community is more involved, then we will be able to possibly decrease the number of domestic violence related deaths or incidents in general.
Well, Sarah, I would like to thank you very much. To those who watched, I definitely want to thank you for watching. And if you are in a situation that you need to get out of, take advice, seek the help. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye.